Hey guys, it's Victoria. So in this video, we are going to be talking about a famous consonant in American English. And I say famous or fancy because it has its own special name and most of the other consonants don't. So of course, that consonant is the alveolar flap. So in this video, we are going to be talking about how exactly to make the alveolar flap and some reasons why it's pretty tricky. So the flap is the sound that you hear in city on the T or in ready on the D. And first off, I'm going to mention that it is not a D. So that's a really common misconception about flap, is that we're just substituting it for a D sound. And while that's kind of like, I could understand why some of you might feel that way, we're going to talk a little bit later about why that's not exactly the case. So to get to that point, let's start off and discuss exactly what's going on in our mouths when we say a D sound. So when we say a D sound, what we've done is we've brought our tongue up behind our teeth to those bumps behind your teeth, and that's called your alveolar ridge. So you bring your tongue up and you rest it there. So that's how you're stabilizing your tongue, by doing this. From there, you're going to build up air pressure for a second, and then you're going to release the sound. D, as in day or dinner. So for a flap, what's going on back there is fundamentally very different. So to make an alveolar flap, you're going to raise your tongue up towards your palate, and you're going to stabilize your tongue not by resting it anywhere, but using the actual muscles of your tongue, the extrinsic muscles of your tongue. So you're going to use your muscles, you're going to pull your tongue up, and that's how you're gaining tongue stability. From there, it's easy peasy to then control the tip of your tongue and tap the alveolar ridge lightly to make the D sound, as in city, ready. So if you were one of those people who thought that you were hearing a D, the reason for that is probably because your native language doesn't have a flap. Your native language does have a D, and so you heard that sound and you just threw it into that bucket, into that category. Because a flap and a D both have voicing, so they both have vocal fold vibration, and so they actually are more similar to each other than is an alveolar flap and a T, which has no voicing. Another thing that I want to mention about the alveolar flap is whether it is the same thing as a rolled R. Now, some of my clients might say, the alveolar flap is exactly the same as the R of my native language. And maybe it is, but there are a lot of languages that have rolled R's. There's a lot of dialects within those languages, and some of the rolled R's are not like a flap. Some of them are. So just because you come from a native language in which there is a rolled R, do not take that to mean that the flap and the rolled R of your native language are necessarily identically the same, because that can just lead you to trouble if they're actually close but not identically the same. So what I typically tell my clients is this: if your initial gut instinct was, wow, flap and my language's rolled R are 1,000,000% exactly the same, then go with it. Like, your brain already made that connection for you. But if you're hearing this right now, or if you've heard it somewhere else before and you're thinking, well, my language has a rolled R, but I never really felt that they were the same, then certainly in that case, do not try to combine your categories for flap and rolled R. Keep them separate. So I know that was a lot of information about how to make the flap. I'm going to make a whole new video explaining when you're allowed to use the flap, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to link it for you somewhere around here. So I'll see you guys there. Bye.